Welcome back to another episode of Building Say Go. It's nice to see you all here again. For those that are new here, my name is Rick, and with my wife Lori, we're building a 31-foot diesel trawler in our backyard. This past week, the weather's been great, and I decided I needed to fabricate the cap rail for the forward end of the boat. So this is really only my second attempt at steam bending, and it went okay. The results weren't really ideal, but I worked around it. I had to steam the first piece twice to get it into shape that is acceptable. Here's the setup. It's a boil and bag. I've got a 60-liter steel drum that we generated the steam with. And here you can see the results of the first steam, and it bounced back a lot farther than I expected, so I put it back in the bag and steamed it again. Start this one off with dry fitting a batten that will help support the cap rail. There wasn't a whole lot of meat on the hull here. It's only a 1/4 inch thick marine plywood core and about 6 layers of fiberglass, so we needed a little bit more space to be able to mount the cap rail on top. All the material that I'm using here, the wood, is white oak, and it's pretty good for steam bending. It's maybe not as good as ash, but it's certainly durable and easy to work with. A small piece of wood easily conformed to the curve of the hull and didn't need to be steamed. Having never built a cap rail for a boat before, I'm machining up a few examples that I can actually put on the boat and see how they're all going to come together. This is not the greatest router table in the world, but I managed to come up with an acceptable profile for the cap rail. And the pictures on the left will kind of give you an idea of how I see it all coming together. So now that I've decided on the shape of the cap rail, the next challenge was how to use my crappy little router table here to machine a 13-foot long piece of white oak. And as you can see, it's not going very well. So I had to make some adjustments and screw the router table to the workbench so it didn't move. And after a couple of shots and a couple of run-throughs, it actually worked pretty good. So after making the adjustments to the table, you can see it's going through a lot easier now, and I think I learned a thing or two about buying cheap tools, but it is what it is. It's what I got to work with, so we'll do the best we can. So here's where the fun begins. I got the oak in a bag, which is just the roll plastic from those vacuum food sealers, and it's great because it's boil and bag technology, so I know the plastic's not going to melt, and it actually works pretty good. So I had to devise something to hold the cap rail in place so that it wouldn't pop out of the blocks and twist and not that. So I've used these little blocks of plywood screwed directly into the workbench. Eventually the steam weakens the adhesive on the tape and lets go, and you can see quite a bit of steam releasing here, and the bag begins to deflate. That's when I know it's pretty much done. think this was the first go around of bending this piece, and I eventually had to do it again, but it bent really easily. It was pretty pliant. The leather welding gloves were pretty much an essential. This live steam coming out of this bag is 212 degrees and it will scald you in an instant. These clamps were the best choice for this project, so I eventually had to go and get my ratchet clamps, and things went a lot easier after that. First time I delivered steam into the bag, I used a flexible hose, and that didn't work too well because it collapsed and kinked, and the choice to use the PEX tube is much better. Now you're thinking, there you go, you muppet, much easier. Time to unscrew this part and open the bag and see what kind of result we get. This was the first part that I steamed, and I don't think I left it cooking long enough, and I probably should have left it in the blocks and clamped down overnight because it sprang back about 7 inches. Not really a test fit, but I was kind of in a hurry to get it up on the boat and see how I did, and curvature's not bad, but it sprang back more than I thought it would, so I'm going to put it back in the bag and steam it again. This is the second go around on that part, and I steamed it for just over an hour, and I left it in the bag overnight before I took it out, and it didn't spring back near as much, so I might have learned a thing or two as we went. here we go. Let's try this again, see how it worked. That's a pretty good result. I can live with that. It might take a little muscle to force it into position, but that's okay. Morning folks, it's Wednesday, week's half over. Anyways, yesterday was all about steaming the starboard side cap rail, and I'm about to let the clamps off, and we'll see how much springback we got. I suspect there's going to be a fair amount, but anyways, here goes. That's not bad. It's about half an inch. Let's see how it goes down the line. And I know this one's going to fit quite a bit. Anyways, there you have it. More to come. Hope you're all having a great week. Cheers.